Today I'd like to do a product review of the Thrunite Ti4 Penlight. It's been about a year to a year and a half since the last Thrunite flashlight video that I've done. I've been going through some competitive models, so I figured it's a good time to do a Thrunite one, and this is a really good one to do because it's a EDC flashlight. As you can see, it's very nice size for EDC purposes. It's around the same size as a Sharpie marker, as we see here, and it's very similar to the form factor and the functionality of the popular Streamlight Stylus Pro, but for just a few extra dollars, you're getting a lot more functionality than you get with the Streamlight Stylus Pro. For example, the beam output on the Stylus Pro is 65 lumens. When we're talking about the Thrunite Ti4, we have multiple modes. We have a Firefly mode of 0.3 lumens, we have a low mode of 24 lumens, and then we have a high mode of 252 lumens, which is really crazy because we're just talking about two AAA battery flashlight. So for this product review, I'd like to just do an overview of all the features. We'll do some stress testing. We'll also do some beam output testing using the Lux Meter, and then just go over the pros and cons. So let's get started with this product review featuring the Thrunite Ti4 Penlight. The Ti4 uses a clicky tail cap for cycling through the various modes. So again, you're going to press it like this. A soft press isn't really going to activate it. You're going to have to press it nice and good like that. And then you're going to be able to cycle through the various modes from Firefly, low, high, and it cycles again, Firefly, low, high, and then you also have a strobe mode. So this has a little bit of memory functionality to it, but not too much. So for example, when you first start it off, it's going to default to Firefly mode, and that's a design feature by Thrunite. I guess that's good if this were to actually accidentally activate while it's in your pocket. It's only going to be in Firefly and not kill your battery. But to go through the next mode, we're going to press it again. That's going to go to our low mode. And then we're going to press it again, and that's going to go to high. Now it has a little bit of memory functionality, so if I were to turn it off and then turn it back on within 10 seconds, it's going to go back to that mode that it was previously at. If I were to wait longer than 10 seconds, it's going to revert back to the default, which is Firefly mode. And so if you do a cycle of it, it's going to take you to that strobe mode, which I don't really use too often, especially for EDC purposes. There we go to the strobe mode. Here's a closer look at the Cree XP G2 LED. As you can see, the reflector is designed more for flood, so it's not as throwy of a flashlight. It's more of a floody flashlight for illuminating the path in front of you. For EDC purposes, that's basically what you're going to want. You're going to want to be able to illuminate the path as you're walking and have the maximum flood for that flashlight. So the reflector is designed that way. The Ti4 has a nice pocket clip. It's not too soft like some similar competitor flashlights. For example, the Preon 2 has a very soft pocket clip. This one snaps back into place when you pull it back. And again, it runs on two AAA batteries. So it inserts that way with the male end pointing towards the head of the flashlight. It also comes with some spare O-rings, and it weighs in with batteries around 1.6 ounces or 45 grams. The Ti4 is IPX8 water resistant, so that's the highest rating that you could ask for a flashlight, and basically that means it could be submerged in multiple meters of water for an extended period of time with no issues. I always like testing out IPX8 water resistant flashlights by terrorizing my wife's ornate polypterus named Tyrone. So as you can see, chasing him around, the flashlight has no issues being submerged in water. All flashlight manufacturers list a maximum beam distance that the flashlight throws, and the Thrunite Ti4 Penlight advertises a maximum beam distance of 67 meters. But I find that to be a little bit misleading. During my testing, what I found is that what they list there as far as the 67 meters is what a sensor or a Lux Meter would be able to detect from that flashlight at the bare minimum that it could register. For example, my Lux Meter, the bare minimum that it registers is 0.2 lux, and which is really nothing. I don't know any human that be able to see that, especially at that distance. That'd be like having Firefly mode and maybe having a third of that brightness of it and being able to see it at 67 meters. That's really, really low. So what I prefer doing is doing 1 meter testing of all the various modes of the flashlight with my Lux Meter, calculating that lux reading, and then using inverse square law, which is a law of physics, for calculating what the maximum beam distance would be for each of those modes. And instead of using the bare minimum that a sensor would be able to capture, I prefer using Civil Twilight. So let's talk about Civil Twilight now. Civil twilight is defined as the illumination of when the geometric center of the sun is 6 degrees below the Earth's horizon, and it can be described as the limit at which twilight illumination is sufficient for terrestrial objects to be clearly distinguishable. So something like a man, a dog, a vehicle, it needs to be right at that civil twilight. Any lower than that and you can't really distinguish what it is. And since we're talking about illumination, not luminance, we could use a Lux Meter for measuring this. So it's defined as, civil twilight's defined as being between 3.2 3.2 and 3.4 lux, depending on who you ask. If you look online, a lot of the times they'll say 3.4, but for vehicle legal cases, for headlamps, they use 3.2 lux. So that's what I'm going to be using for flashlight testing, although the difference between 3.2 and 3.4 when you're talking about flashlights isn't that great. We're talking a couple feet. So I set up the Thrunite Ti4 Penlight at 1 meter's distance from the Lux Meter to capture all of the lux readings of the various modes. So starting off first with Firefly Mode, which is at 0.3 lumens, the lux reading at 1 meter is 1.8 lux. On Low Mode, which is 24 lumens, the lux reading is 130 at 1 meter distance. And then finally on High Mode, at 252 lumens, the lux reading at 1 meter's distance is 330 lux. I find that the high mode on some of the Thrunite flashlights is a little bit misleading. For example, on high mode, which is 252 lumens, you have an initial lux value at 1 meter distance of 330 lux, but immediately after that, it'll start counting down on the lux. So it's just going to start decrementing. So basically, the flashlight is going to get dimmer and dimmer slowly over time as you have it on that high mode. That's something that I see more common with modes that are listed as turbo mode. With turbo mode, I fully expect that it's not going to last on turbo for too long. And for high, I kind of expected to have it at that value for a little bit longer of a time. I kind of wish that this flashlight would have a mode in between low mode and high mode, called high mode, and then change this 252 lumens one to a turbo mode. That would make it a little bit more sense in my opinion. But on high mode, you're going to be seeing it a step down. You actually probably won't see it with your eyes, but with the Lux Meter, you'll definitely see the countdown occur. After capturing all the values at 1 meter's distance, I plunked all those values into a little Microsoft Excel spreadsheet that I made for calculating when I would hit that civil twilight distance. So I have two different columns here, one for civil twilight at 3.2 lux, the other one at 3.4 lux, but as you can see, there's not too big of a difference between the two. So on Firefly Mode, we would hit that civil twilight distance not even at a full meter, at 0.8 meters, which is 2.5 feet. So the main ones I'm concerned with are low mode and high mode. So on low mode, we would hit that civil twilight of 3.2 lux at 6.4 meters, which is 20.9 feet. And then on high mode at 252 lumens, we would hit the civil twilight distance at 10.2 meters, which is 33.3 feet. Now let's go outside and test out these results. So I'm going to be measuring out both the low mode and the high mode distances for reaching civil twilight. We're just going to skip Firefly Mode because it's not really applicable for any kind of meaningful throw. So I'll go outside, I'll measure that distance for low mode, and then I'll measure that distance for high mode, and we'll use the Ti4 Penlight flashlight for illuminating an object. For this segment of the video, we're going to be using Sith Lord Darth Vader for illuminating using the Ti4 Penlight. So we're going to set up Darth Vader at the civil twilight distances for 3.2 lux for low mode and high mode of the flashlight. Here's what Darth Vader looks like at a civil twilight distance for 3.2 lux on low mode. So that's at a distance of 6.4 meters. And here's what Darth Vader looks like at our calculated civil twilight distance for 3.2 lux on high mode. So this is at a distance of 10.2 meters, which is 33.3 feet. Thrunite flashlights are well known for their extreme durability. I'm not going to beat this one up too much, but let's at least put it through its paces. So I have it on Firefly Mode right now. Let's submerge it in water, freeze it overnight, and then we'll break it out. Alright, it looks like the Penlight survived being frozen. It's still on Firefly Mode. So let's do some 1 meter drop test. Alright, after letting it thaw for a little bit, seems to still be working just fine. Now let's go over the pros and cons of the Ti4 Penlight. So the number one pro that I have with it is just the overall form factor of it. It's just the perfect size for EDC purposes. You could put it in your pocket or even your pocket protector if you want to, and it just fits right in there, very convenient to carry. I really like that it has a nice smooth finish to it. It reminds me of the 4.7's Preon 2 in that regard, although it has a much nicer pocket clip that we showed a little bit earlier. So it's not a soft pocket clip. During my testing, it hasn't really bent out that much during during it, so which is a win for me. I really like that it's a clicky tail cap on here. I find that to be the most convenient for EDC purposes rather than having the twisty head, which is more of a two-hand operation. You could definitely use this for one-hand operation. You have a lot of modes with this flashlight. For example, with the Streamlight Stylus Pro, you only have one mode on here. With this one, you have the 3 main modes, plus you have a strobe on here. So that's very convenient. I find that the low output on 24 lumens is perfect for EDC needs, and if you really need to crank it up, you have that 252 lumens. But for a 2 AAA flashlight, that's pretty incredible. And the price tag of this flashlight, I think, is very, very fair. For example, the Streamlight Stylus Pro cost around $20. Sometimes you might see it as low as $18, but with the Thrunite Ti4 flashlight, you're going to spend anywhere between $25, $26, and you're getting a lot more functionality and just overall performance. You're getting a higher IPX water resistant rating, you're getting multiple modes on here, a better clicky tail cap. Just all in all, it's just a better flashlight, I think, than the Streamlight Stylus Pro. This one's just a little bit cheaper. So those are everything I have listed for the pros of the Ti4 Penlight. Now let's move on to the cons. So the first con that I have listed for this flashlight is that while I do like that it has some kind of memory mode for 10 seconds, I just wish that it was more indefinite. So for example, I like using low mode on this flashlight at 24 lumens, but I always have to cycle first through that Firefly mode and then over to low mode. I wish that it would just remember that low mode's my preferred one rather than defaulting back to Firefly mode. The next con that I have listed with it is with regard to, I've had a few times where it's accidentally activated while it's in my pocket. I'm not really sure how, probably from pressing against it lightly, and I guess that's one good thing about having it go right to Firefly mode. It's not really going to burn anything or anything like that. One of these days with flashlights, I think it'd be really cool if they were able to do some kind of in-pocket kind of detection, similar to what some smartphones are able to do, where they have a sensor here that detects whether it's in the pocket. If it is, it's not going to listen to the click that you did there. I think that'd be pretty cool in the future, but I think we might be a little bit ways away for that. Next, for the cons that I have listed here, I don't really like that high mode is listed as a high mode. I wish it was listed as a turbo mode, and I wish you had an in-between mode. So that jump between 24 lumens and 252 lumens is kind of drastic. I wish there was maybe a 100 lumen mode in between there that was the high mode, and then that turbo mode, it'd be acceptable to have that step down occur with the Lux reading on here. And then you're not able to do a tail stand, but how often do you really need to do that? And that's all I have listed for the cons of the Ti4 Penlight. Another potential con to mention regarding this flashlight is the advertised lumens of 252 on high mode. From the competitive device testing that I've been doing with ceiling bounce tests for kind of approximating lumens, or at least comparing two different flashlights with various lumen listings to see which one's actually brighter, it just seems like the 252, I'm not sure how entirely accurate it is. I would need an integrating sphere to be able to tell for sure. But during the ceiling bounce test that I've been doing with competitive ones, even ones with less lumens, like 100 lumens, for example, it just seems like this one isn't as bright as what I would expect it to be at 2.5 times the lumen output. Let's take a quick little look at that. Let's do a ceiling bounce test comparison with a competitor flashlight that's right at 100 lumens. So here's 100 lumens right now against the wall. I'm going to just sit it on the floor here and have it illuminate the room. Again, that's at 100 lumens. Now let's take a look at the Thrunite. There we go on high. Shine it up on the wall really quick, and we're going to just have it shine straight up on the room. Again, this is 252 lumens. Let's go back to that competitor flashlight, shining it straight up. And here's the Thrunite. Here's a little side-by-side of the beam pattern. And there's the Thrunite. That's going to do it for this product review featuring the Thrunite Ti4 Penlight. I tried to provide as much information as I could in this particular product review because I really, really like this flashlight. Despite everything listed in the cons with regard to the Lux step down and also the actual lumen output of it, those aren't as important to me as just the general functionality and performance of this flashlight. It's at a very competitive price. I think I prefer it much more than the 4.7's Preon 2, which is a lot more expensive, and then I also like it better than the Streamlight Stylus Pro, which is more inexpensive but not as much functionality with it. So please feel free to leave any kind of comments below in the comments section regarding this particular video, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it featuring the Thrunite Ti4 Penlight. See you guys next time.